Good afternoon and good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and Coffee Stream episode 534. And holy shit, it's an interesting day today. As you can see, I've got Nick Ricada's thing muted and going in the background. But we've got some cross-examination going on. Of a very interesting witness, and I cannot resist but watch this. So we're gonna start the stream off by watching a little bit of this cross-examination, courtesy of Nick Ricada, because he is awesome and doesn't care that people watch his stuff.
Okay.
You don't know? Aren't you the expert?
However, diagnosis is not required.
This
for an
is Ben
opinion
Chu
to be
that is
professional.
crossing.
So my question is, it's not just diagnosis that this Goldwater rule applies to, it's professional opinions.
So again, I'll reiterate that would come down to essentially nullifying witness testimony, expert witness testimony.
No, it wouldn't.
No,
the patient.
Exactly. As we know, it didn't happen. But regardless of that, the whole expert witness testimony thing would be basically.
Sir, are you an expert on witness testimony?
Exactly.
Are you an expert witness testimony expert?
Oh, shit.
Again, I'm just telling you the answer to the question. When you're reading me those statements,
how do you know the answer? If you don't know the question.
The response by the other side, who publishes also, is that if that was the case, there could be no expert witness testimony in the courtroom.
Wow.
Incorrect.
Psychiatrists are ethically prohibited from evaluating individuals without permission or other authorization, such as a court order. That's the rule, right?
Fuck.
Again, if you're reading that, then I have to believe you're not misrepresenting.
Fuck.
And I would come back to,
How
again,
would he know he's in the rules of his profession if he doesn't know what the rules
you
are?
might as well get rid of all the expert witnesses we've had throughout all the time
damn.
for court proceedings. Because what you're saying is unless a court
This
orders
guy
it,
has been.
that's what you just said.
Great, let this guy do this all day.
Then therefore, expert witnesses cannot do an evaluation
I know.
based on an observation of the medical
correct.
record.
You
Insurance
can't.
companies cannot do evaluations based on the medical record with
Correct.
Boy.
professional opinions. So at the end of the day, we're essentially saying
a professional opinion.
unless someone has
And he's an
properly
angry
evaluated,
doctor.
this whole medical system we have, this whole
Spittle
legal
buggies?
system we have is null and void.
I'm
Nope.
not saying
No, yes,
anything.
you are, sir. No, you are.
Give me a second, and I'll give you more than a second.
Are you arguing
What
with
I'm
the lawyer on the
saying,
stand,
what I
you
am
dumb
reading to you
motherfucker?
Is a rule by your organization that takes into account that there could be court orders that would permit the exact kind of evaluation that you say I'm eliminating.
And I think we're going in circles because I think I just said that means expert witness testimony would not be
You're
allowed.
making this
And the
go in
branch of
circles on
forensic
purpose, you
Expert witness
disingenuous
testimony is
special
about
fuck.
injury, we
generalities.
know the branch of forensic psychiatry does not prohibit that. So I am
Wow.
a member of the APA. That doesn't necessarily mean every single thing they put in there, everybody has to uncategorically
Hey,
agree with.
Gustin.
Because clearly that's
I don't
not
have to follow my professional guidelines.
I don't agree with a lot of the Utah State bar rules, but I still have to follow them.
Inconsistent with the Goldwater rule.
my first place. If we're saying that if the Goldwater rule says, and I very much said that during deposition, that the Goldwater rule was made for presidents and public figures such as that.
Really? It's only for
That's what it
presidents?
was made for.
Public
It's not made for Hollywood, but I'll even take that, Mr. Dexter.
Hollywood?
Really?
Okay. Public
What I'm saying to
figures
you is
don't
that
extend to
the Goldwater
Hollywood.
rules say we cannot do any expert witness testimony in our field. That is exactly what the
That
Goldwater
is
rules
not
say,
at
I'd have to
based on
disqualify him as a
exactly
witness.
what you read. And I'm
Wow.
just telling you what you are
Move to
saying.
disqualify.
now.
Move to, yeah, I'm with Nick.
What
Move to
asking you,
disqualify
sir,
this Joker.
I'd move
Is,
to strike him.
did you comply
Holy
with the
shit.
ethical requirements of the APA when when rendering the professional
Move to
opinions
disqualify
you've rendered
and
today.
ha ha
It
for
is
wasting your
It is
time
a
on this
requirement of
Joker.
the APA. It's not the requirement of the
Amber's legal
APA.
team.
What does that mean?
Secondarily,
So the
again,
answer is
Tyler,
no.
look at
secondarily, again, in order to not,
Ron, I'll order the witness to
One,
answer the
because of an
question.
expert
Oh,
witness
don't worry,
before
Cos.
me.
Then I'll get
As
to
an
the
expert
weather
witness is
portion of the
everyone brought
stream
it.
later.
So all I'm saying to you, that means the whole field of medical legal law is corrupt and unethical for engaging
Move
in
to
an act
strike
that the APA
him.
Wow.
says we should not do. So if you're saying that, then the answer is yes, I'm agreeing with that statement.
Your Honor, I move to strike
You
this
agree
witness.
that the APA would deem your testimony and your professional opinion you're unethical.
Again, I'm saying you are saying that the whole, I'm an expert witness. I'm saying as an expert.
Are you now?
witness, and solely as an expert witness.
You're an expert witness, yet
That
you don't know the
guideline
fucking
is
rules of
preventing
being an
that
expert
from occurring.
witness. Okay.
I would say then that the whole.
What am I watching here?
Wow. Oh, wow. This is-
Again,
this is
would be
bad.
disavowed by what you are quoting in the Goldwater rule. And we know that's not the case, because if it was, we would not be allowed to do it.
And you said the rule was for presidents, right? And
That was
public
initially for
figures.
press, yes.
But, and the name of the rule came from that. But the rule says it is unethical for a psychiatrist to offer a professional opinion about an individual.
Yes.
That's right, sir. It's not just presidents, it's not public figures, it's individuals.
Yes.
Funny, it was named after the, according to your logic, if you don't put something in the title, it's not true.
Oh my
Hey,
God, this
guess
guy's
what?
I believe that might
Guess
intimate
what?
partner violence. So what I would say to
Bell
you then,
telephone.
sir, is that if you say this about an individual, again, any court would have to render an expert witness testimony invalid. Any doctor that reviews
So-
charts would have to render it invalid.
What the
I
fuck
can
are
go
you
on the list of
talking
docs
about?
that do not see or interview patients directly, and that's a violation. So basically,
It is a
you are saying
violation.
that unless you do a direct clinical evaluation, then all of the field of forensic psychiatry and all of managed care is doing an unethical
Unless
violation.
the court orders it.
Seeing the presence. We deny patients medications all the time without seeing them. We deny patients treatments, unfortunately, without seeing them. And I'm on the receiving end
They're
of that.
still
So
their
the answer is what?
patients,
Again,
though.
Unless you were saying to me that
They-
all of this is
they-
unethical.
oh
which is
my
what you were
God.
saying. This is how I'm interpreting what you are saying to me. That unless you do
You don't have to interpret
evaluation,
anything. You just read the rule.
therefore it could not be
Wow.
considered ethical. And I'm telling you how that applicable to not just expert law, but also managed care. It applicable to multiple branches of medicine. Hospital duration of hospitalization stay, they get evaluated. So tell me where you want me to end this.
You're doing fine.
Why don't we
Keep talking.
Why don't we
Wow.
talk about what you just testified to? Because I didn't ask you anything about that. I asked you about this principle of medical ethics.
She's laughing
Have you
her ass
acted
off.
unethically? Yes or no?
No, as an expert witness, I have not acted unethically. And if you want the jury to believe that expert witnesses are unethical, then I guess that's for them to
No,
decide.
he
Yes,
just
that's
wants
for
the
them to
jury to
decide.
believe
No,
that
let's go to the
you,
next question.
sir, are unethical.
Right?
That's
Holy
all.
God.
Psychiatric diagnosis occurs in the context of an evaluation based on thorough history taking,
Just keeps reading the rule.
examination,
Just read the
and where applicable, collated or collateral information. You'll agree with that?
I believe I said that earlier, yes.
And it's a departure from the methods of the profession to render an opinion without an examination and without conducting an evaluation in accordance with the standards of psychiatric practice.
An
correct?
examination meaning
Well,
in
again,
person.
by the way, for the record, intimate partner violence is not a psychiatric diagnosis. I'll start with that.
What?
Substance usage by themselves is not a psychiatric diagnosis. If you want to cut
What is your opinion based on that? Because psychiatry
You
said
said
your area of
narcissistic
expertise, right?
personality
What?
traits is not a
You said
diagnosis.
substance use disorder.
Ergo, I am basically commenting on the
He's
things
fucking
that are
ergo.
brought to me,
He's
which are
providing a
not
non-expert opinion.
diagnosis. But an evaluation, if I was going to treat a patient or anyone here, those are the steps I would take.
We, I think, started with the notion that this rule applies broader than diagnoses. It applies to professional opinions.
I believe
And
you
you've
just
Yes.
quoted professional opinions relative to narcissistic personality traits, haven't you, sir? Relative to Mr. Depp.
Again,
Yes.
I believe you just commented on what it takes to do in a psychiatric evaluation to establish a diagnosis. I'm almost certain that's what you said. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you didn't say that, but I'm sure you did. And
Dude,
therefore, what I'm
This
saying
is
is
not
neither
a
IPV
fucking
nor
debate
substance uses
on
nor
YouTube.
narcissistic personality
Okay.
traits. A
You are
psychiatric diagnosis.
testifying
And then
in
If
court.
I've heard was going to have a psychiatrist, this would be the
You
guy.
are saying I acted on ethically under the rubric of expert witness testimony. So if you, sir, would like to proceed that expert witnesses aren't ethical based on that, I'm
Amber
not
Heard
going to sit
does
here and
fit.
disagree with you.
I
and
would
waste
say,
everyone's time. I think.
oh
it's
yeah, she
fairly
fits
obvious.
NPD
Thank you. Go
absolutely
ahead.
perfectly. You're right.
These
Oh,
are
Amber.
thank
your
you.
words. I'm just saying your interpretation.
I thought voiceover
Okay.
said M, not N.
He knows
don't
he's
recall-
Let's start with
destroying
the
this
easy
guy.
question.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever seeing
Maybe we
anything
can-
That was
quite
pretty
like
easy.
this
Go
in
ahead.
my life.
Actually, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Getting into it.
You need to just answer the question.
Okay.
We're not rendering any diagnosis
Oh my
Sua
whatsoever
sponte.
of Mr. Depp today or ever.
Gotcha.
Artie.
Quick.
No, I probably would say to you that certainly I would not say narcissistic personalities, or I would say traits. Certainly, from what I have read, intimate partner violence is not a diagnosis. So the answer is no.
It's
Right.
not.
Narcissistic personality traits is not a diagnosis. The answer is no. But if you want to tell me that substance use disorder is a psychiatric diagnosis, the answer is yes.
It's like my
And
ODS peer
But
review.
that wasn't an
Yeah.
issue, was it? Whether Mr. Depp used substances. I mean, you said you've gone through the record. That wasn't really an issue at this trial. He's said it from day one.
Oh, so you're saying he's already admitted to the diagnosis?
He's already admitted to the use of the substances.
Well, again, there's a difference between admitting to substance use and
Are
substance
you
use.
high,
Let's go
doctor?
back to what you just said about narcissistic personality trait.
Yes.
Narcissistic personality disorder is a DSM-5
Diagnosis.
correct?
Correct.
Diagnostic personality, and you haven't testified that Mr. Depp has narcissistic personality disorder.
I would certainly, if I didn't, I'm certainly thinking that, but at least I'm going to say he has traits which are characteristics of provisional diagnosis of.
Then
It's a
why would
provisional
he admit
diagnosis
to
of probably
substance
narcissistic
abuse if
personality.
he's
Yeah,
a
I mean, I do believe that.
narcissist?
Well,
Look
when
at
you say
Sly.
provisional diagnosis, you know the DSM-5 requires, in order to find that diagnosis, 5
Wow.
of the 9 factors. And you haven't done that analysis. You've never made that diagnosis. You've just identified certain factors.
That are criteria for the diagnosis.
Right. But you need 5 of 9 to get to the diagnosis. You've already told us that you didn't make a diagnosis. You're just identifying traits, correct?
I'm identifying traits that are consistent with the diagnosis. Yes.
Right. And did you testify
5
in
of 9
deposition
traits.
that the existence of traits as opposed to the disorder doesn't have a correlation with IPV?
If I said traits do not have a correlation with the, if that's what I said, and I don't remember saying that, but that wouldn't be a correct thing. Narcissism has a correlation with the diagnosis. Yes, that part's true.
Or how far are we going to back this up? Because narcissistic personality
How far are we
disorder,
gonna back this
Right.
up? I
Yes, sir.
love that.
and that one is tied, has some correlation with IPV, right?
Narcissism has correlation with
The
IP.
fuck
Again,
he
you
has
sir,
PTSD.
you're not allowing me to
maybe.
answer.
I would, yeah.
Breathing oxygen has
Splitting
correlation with
You're
IPV. I
splitting
mean,
hairs between the traits that are consistent with, which all I'm
I would
commenting
say
on
so.
is behaviors and traits that are consistent with the diagnosis. And Mr. Depp, narcissism absolutely has risk factors associated with IPV.
I would say
Let's go back again.
Johnny
and maybe we
is
can
the
we
other
can focus
half
on
of
the
a
question I asked
narcissistic
you,
personality
and
disorder. I'd
we
say
can get an
he's a
answer that's
codependent.
addressed to that question.
I don't think he's a
Narcissistic
narcissist. I think he's
personality
codependent.
disorder is a risk factor for IPV. Yes or no?
Yes.
And you previously testified that there is no literature at which you are currently aware that the mere presence of narcissistic traits is a risk factor for IPV?
Yeah.
Am I answering the question?
Yes,
That's incorrect.
you
Cluster,
didn't testify that.
a cluster B traits, which narcissistic personality disorder is part
I
of,
have cluster
is a
B
huge
traits,
risk factor.
but
for intimate
borderline,
partner
like the
violence,
borderline.
which
personality.
include cluster B
Cluster
traits
B.
include narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, amongst others. So the answer to the
Borderline,
question is,
What about
histrionic.
histrionic?
Histrionic.
What
every
about borderline?
resource on intimate partner violence will support that cluster B traits.
I don't have a full
where narcissistic
diagnosis of a
personality
cluster
falls
B
under
disorder,
is
but
a
I
risk
have the
factor
trait, like
for
some of the
intimate partner
traits.
violence.
Any single trait is a risk factor for IPV.
Again, I will repeat,
That's true. Everyone
Cluster
does have cluster B
B
traits.
traits. I didn't say any trait. I said cluster. No, you
Oh,
said any-
let me be more precise then.
Okay.
Any narcissistic trait in and of itself is a risk factor for IPV.
but you are mischaracterizing what I said.
No.
What
No,
I
he's
said,
not.
I'm
Question.
pretty sure I said
He's
cluster.
literally not,
If you
though.
look at all the intimate partner
It
violence
sucks to
literature,
have your
I
idiocy
would behoove you to
repeated
do
to
so.
you. I
You will
understand
see
that. I've been
cluster
there. But
B
that is
traits.
what you said.
I didn't say narcissistic per se.
You
Cluster B
did.
traits,
This
You-
is great.
where
Literally
narcissistic personality
did.
disorder is part of, are risk factors for intimate partner violence, part and parcel, uniformly true. And I'm
Oh
not
my
sure,
God.
the thing I don't understand is, I'm not sure why we're arguing psychiatry, because I'm telling you what it is.
Director
That's
Seaver,
true.
You just need to answer the question.
Okay.
Twice.
So you wanna
reprimanded.
My
talk about,
cluster B traits
cluster
are
B, so
more
let's do that for a minute.
towards like
Uh-oh.
the anxiety,
Here we go.
Borderline
like
personality
abandonment
disorder
and
is a risk factor
my like being
for
wrong.
IPV.
Like, I have this
As
huge
part of
thing
cluster B
about
traits, yes.
dealing with the fact that my
Histrionic
being wrong is not
personality
like the end
disorder.
of the world. Like
Here we go.
I think that if I'm wrong,
For
it's the end of
IPV.
the world.
Less so.
Instead of like, oh,
Looks
I
like they
can't
brought
have-
in extra bailiffs in the back
Less
of the
I
courtroom.
mean, it's a risk factor, but less, less so. Significantly less so.
All right. So which traits under narcissistic, before I move on,
complex PTSD.
there's only
yeah.
been one diagnosis in court of personality disorders, correct?
I don't
I'm
know.
not
I
sure
haven't
who you're
been paying
referring to.
attention.
Are you referring to Mr. Depp, Ms. Hurt, who, I'm not sure what you were talking about.
Well,
Do
now
you
I would answer.
understand that there was a medical examination done of Ms. Hurt?
Yes, I did.
Do you understand that the testimony was ultimately that Ms. Hurd suffers from two personality disorders?
Okay, so I'm just being specific. I just wanted to know if you're talking about Ms. Hurt or Mr. Depp. So that's all I was asking you,
Oh, but no.
Yes
Are
or
you-
no? from my-
Continue.
which
Yep,
was
keep
his only
going.
By all means.
one diagnosis of, Ms. Hurd was diagnosed with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And both of the diagnoses are in cluster B, and both of them are risk factors for
For
IPV.
IPV. Yep.
But both those cluster B things are, I'm not allowed to comment on the testing. So therefore, all I
Oh,
can
wait,
say
why
is
not?
that.
Just
cluster B
answer
traits,
yes or
I'll tell you
no,
what they are. And
dude.
by the way, I testified this before, which was that one, I don't expect perfection from my victims. Two,
I don't-
absolutely, there are cluster B traits.
Oh.
Mr. Shanahan. Absolutely. Mr.
I
Shanahan.
don't
Given that you've
expect
testified to it before, let's
perfection
move on to a new-
from my
That is straight out of the
victims.
news articles that were
You
over the weekend about imperfect
indicated-
victims.
Your opinion today. that
I
you thought
don't
imperfect
expect
victim.
perfection
Well, wait a minute.
out of
Why
my
don't we move
victims.
A little different. Are you a member of the American Medical Association?
What the fuck
Okay,
is
so
that?
you don't know
Wow.
what the ethical rule of the American Medical Association is relative to doing clinical diagnoses about individuals.
Yeah,
you
my
never
self-doubt is
So you're saying in
Fucking
terms of doing
awful.
expert witness evaluations under that rubric, right?
I'm
and
just
I'm a
asking you,
really,
do you
like,
know the
I
AMA's rule?
really bad. I'm horrible for
Under doing-
self-deprecation.
You're
Doesn't
saying
even know the APA
AMA is
rule.
ruling under the rubric of not doing eval with somebody you did not see. And I'm questioning, I'm asking, so you are talking about expert witness testimony.
No, I'm talking
No.
about, do you know the rule?
I'm not a member of the AMA, so I
Okay,
don't
great.
read the rule.
Then you
Okay.
move on. You don't
Say
know the rule.
no. But you make it look stupid.
Rendering an opinion about Mr. Depp's purported cognitive
That's
impairment.
it. I'm getting sound pad after this
Yes.
stream.
What do you use as a baseline?
God, I'm just waiting for the referee to
Baseline
stop
for
the fight.
processing speed.
This is a great
Yeah,
question.
for analyzing Mr. Depp before you watched his deposition.
What is the baseline for that?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my
What-
baseline would probably be what
He's
I
guessing.
have seen him interact in public. I
You're
have
still
seen
watching him
interact
on
with
movies and
others.
TV?
I've seen him interact in media. I've seen him interact and his process speed is certainly not slow. I've seen him do commercials. His process speed was not slow.
Good Lord.
You've seen him do
The
it on the
deposition, didn't you
stand.
say that what you did was compare Mr. Depp's performance in lots of pirate movies against his deposition testimony
What
here?
I said was I've seen Mr. Depp do apology ads. I remember he did an apology ad with Bad Dog with no delay in process speed. I've seen him interact with the media regarding to that. I saw no delay in processing speed. All I'm saying
Let me
is-
ask you about pirates, though. You compared pirates to the to the depositions given in
then
this case.
I apologize for what I said. Then I
Apologize? Make the comparison.
You
Right now, just a
apologize
second ago?
for what you said.
just
Good, Johnny.
I may have said that I misspoke. I apologize. I misspoke.
Because you
Look
know
at
you
Camille.
can't compare pirates to
I
sworn
agree
testimony,
What Pink
right?
Hollow is saying. He's saying
Yes.
strike
Oh my
the
God.
entire testimony and
But you
penalize
can, but as
the
an aside, you
Amber's
can
team for
judge
the
someone's
waste of time.
processing speed at
No,
any
you
time. Like
can't.
I'm judging
No.
yours right now. You're
This
judging
is
mine.
why
We
I
all
hate
judge
psychiatrists.
Scripted, memorized
Yeah.
That's fine.
statements.
Of what we know about each other. I would say your process speed right now
I have
is not
never
slow.
judged anyone's
Now he's
processing
diagnosed.
speed.
We
with
judge
attorney.
processing speed. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, but no, any of Mr. Depp's other
This is-
portrayals
He should
in
reveal he has a
movies
learning
to that
disability.
effect,
and
Pathetic.
His
analysis
processing
of
speed is
processing
slow.
speed.
Only I've seen him interact on interviews, and that was it.
Right.
When he wasn't in movies.
What, right. But Willy Wonka doesn't matter to you. You see him in that movie, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Did you look at that one when you were comparing his processing speed?
What the? Look at these. What the fuck is he doing?
Is he laughing on the witness stand?
There was
Yes,
no
you have to
objection.
answer the
Yeah.
question.
No, you'll be happy to know I didn't see Willy Wonka. I didn't see 21 Jump Street when it happened, whatever it was. But no, I did not.
Holy.
You made a very kind admission, I think, early on in your deposition, that you're not claiming to be a better actor than Mr. Depp. That's correct.
100%.
Is there a mercy
With
rule in
respect to
cross-examination?
You know that actors actually rehearse for their parts and work on the language, diction, timing of their dialogue as
This is-
part of that
This
rehearsal.
is amazing.
If you say I'm not an actor, so I don't know what goes on. I can't tell you. I have no idea what goes on in acting.
Oh, come on.
You
Even
don't know
the
enough
dumbest
how that actors memorize scripts.
layperson knows
actors
that.
rehearse.
Sir, I am not an expert in acting. I have
Oh
no
my God.
idea what an actor does.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. See the smiles in the gallery? People are trying to hold in the laughter.
Look at Johnny. All right, whatever, man.
Oh,
Camille's
Jesus.
like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing.
During your
Oh my
deposition,
God. This is
what were the circumstances under which you decided to call Mr. Depp an idiot?
oh
This is my comment,
shit.
Depp an idiot.
Yeah, you called Mr. Depp an idiot in your deposition. Why
Oh, I
did
think.
you-
Okay. So I think it was in
Oh,
the context.
shit.
I think it was in the. You probably should read the context.
It
the
doesn't
context
matter.
was-
You're a
and I'm
fucking
trying to think
expert
back.
witness.
I'm trying to think back. Okay. And what I thought it was related to was if you're coming to some deposition. Okay. And again, I'm thinking back. So
Of all the experts in the world,
I don't. So I'm thinking back where he's coming
the
in
best I heard you could come up with.
Europe for
So
a
good.
deposition, video deposition that he gave, and he took an overnight. The night
I noticed the level on that Gatorade bottle is dropping a lot
It
faster on
was-
cross than you did on direct.
He's about to add to it. When he
Hold
puts
on,
it in
hold on.
himself.
For a trial that you're involved with, I think you'd be an idiot to come in the night before. So I didn't call Mr. Depp an idiot. I
Yeah,
simply
you
called that
did.
planning an idiot. I didn't call him an idiot.
So the words, so I mean he's an idiot are misdescribed.
No, again, if I said it in that, if you just read one line, one snippet, I'm sure it was in the context. Again, you have.
You literally said, I mean, he's an idiot.
Is, idiot a professional opinion?
I wasn't.
Yeah. Is it a psychiatric opinion?
And that follows the Goldwater rule.
What?
How does it follow the?
Oh, you just said that. I'm not rendering a professional opinion. I just said idiot. That's not a.
I
So
wonder
idiot
what
is not
drugs
a
this
professional
idiot
opinion.
took before he got off the
Is it your
stand. I don't
God.
know.
Practice to describe people as
Say
idiots.
goodbye to his medical
My practice
license.
describing- in my
Right,
practice-
Ellen? Holy
No, I
shit.
don't describe people my clinical cases as idiots or patients as idiots or victims as idiots. No, sir.
But you sat for a deposition in this case and described.
I'm
it
starting to
as
feel
an
bad
idiot,
for this
correct?
guy.
I'm not.
You gave me 9 hours of deposition.
Oh,
And if I said
no.
the word idiot, it was an idiot in planning. It wasn't making him an idiot. I don't know Mr. Depp's IQ. I don't know his overall functioning. So therefore, if I said it, it was an idiot in planning, which is what I meant to come across as.
All right. So you did say you don't know his overall functioning, but you made some testimony today as to some
Yep.
evaluations you made
Oh,
relative
God,
to
this
his
guy's
functioning.
digging
You
himself
would
straight
agree
into
with
lava.
me that it's probably a good idea to think about the questions that are asked you in a court proceeding before answering.
Am I allowed to answer that question?
Yes.
So what I meant by function, what I said by function, I believe that his agent reported how late he was showing up to every movie while the cast is waiting for him. I believe that would be an impairment. If I showed up late for that, I would not be here right now, would not have a job. Okay.
Oh, that's not
I
true.
believe
Doctors are late
it was
constantly.
in terms of,
Bullshit.
balking out of treatment
I have
for
been
substance
sitting in
rehab that
doctor's
his doctor is
offices for
prescribing
an
for.
hour and a
So if
half
you're
before
asking
it's
me
been
if
my
that's an
turn.
impairment of function,
And I was
I would
on
say I'm very
time
much
for my
substantiated in
appointment.
that.
So fuck
I'm
you.
trying to understand how you got to this notion of cognitive decline. And I thought it was based at least in part on the manner in which he
You
testified.
never call a patient an idiot.
I'm sorry, what?
On the manner in which he testified.
On the manner, I'm sorry, I'm not being difficult. I can't hear. I'm sorry. On what?
I was asking you about the cognitive decline.
Yes.
Are they
Test.
escorting someone out of the courtroom?
It was my understanding that at least a portion of that
For
testimony
laughing, probably, maybe.
that you rendered was that you derived some evidence of cognitive decline from the
There
way
might
Mr.
be.
Depp testified.
Yes.
Okay,
And that's what I said. Yes.
right. And so all I'm asking you is, don't you think it's a good idea when you're in the middle of a court proceeding to answer questions carefully?
Again, professionally, we diagnose
The
patients with
answer would be
a
yes or
neurocognitive
no.
disorder by gross evaluation
Just answer
all
the
the
question.
time with cognitive. On the thought that again, age normal controls. I'm just saying, age normative controls does not put a 58-year-old gentleman at that processing. That's all I'm saying. That's
Right.
all I said.
And you derive.
Do you agree that you
this
should have processed a
without
little longer on
ever
these
once
answers?
talking to me.
Right, Nick?
Me
This
me
is
directly talking.
God.
'Cause I heard-
Oh
'cause we
my
know how I drive.
God.
So you're talking about me directly talking to him?
Yeah, you never talk.
No, I've never talked to him.
And
Maybe he has
this
OCD, fuck this guy, or severe
exam
anxiety.
you gave.
They're always late.
Well,
Yep.
you did talk about Dr. Blaustein, right?
Yes, sir.
I think
and you
the only
understand that
doctor that
the
I
entirety
see
of
that is
Dr.
not late
Blaustein's-
is my dentist.
Medical records are 12 pages of handwritten notes.
The important part
I
was
usually
what I said.
go to my dentist.
For
and
me,
if
an
I
example
have
of
to wait, it's
cognition,
like
which I'm
5
trying to
minutes,
prove,
but
which is what you
I
asked me.
usually don't have to.
The
wait.
important part was what
I'm
I
usually
said.
in the
Do
chair
you have
And that was
narcissistic
at
personality?
the time of my
irrefutable.
appointment.
The important part is that he gave the mini mental status exam.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's
Let's
a
talk
cognitive-
about the mini mental status exam. Scored on a 30-point scale, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's
I'm
an
getting very
exam
angry.
that basically is most often used for what, Alzheimer's, dementia, those kind of.
Who prepped
Testing.
this guy? This
It's an
is
exam that
this
tests
is
cognition
one of
in all
Amber Heard's witnesses.
psychiatric illnesses, not just
Ellen.
Alzheimer's. It was made for dementia for Alzheimer's, but is the standard, has been the standard for testing cognition in all psychiatric illness, substance use disorders included.
Okay. Now, there is an element of that exam that requires drawing, correct?
Yes.
So you don't know what drawing Mr. Depp did or whether the drawing should have been fully scored.
I wasn't questioning his visual spatial perceptual skills, which is what that does.
Right. And you don't know what score Mr. Depp received on the exam.
I was very specific. I know 3 words, not remembering at 5 minutes. That's all I said.
3 words, not remembering 5 minutes, and he remembered one of them, right?
From what I understand, he didn't remember any of them.
All right. Memory on the exam. Out of the 30 points, what's it worth? 3. 3, right? Memory is 3 out of the 30.
Yeah, memory's 3.
Okay.
But again, the memory section in and of itself tests memory. That's the only question that tests memory.
But
Only
3
section
out
that
of
actually
30
tests
is
memory.
So the memory section tests
10%.
memory. It's the only section you're testified about. And for all you know, that with respect to the exam that you're relying on, Mr. Depp scored 27 out of 30.
And that would be telling, though, cognitively, if you score 27 out of 30 and you miss 3 points on memory. That would be very telling.
You don't know if Mr. Depp had been up all night the night before.
Again, you wouldn't expect to not recall any words at 3 minutes unless there's a cognitive issue.
You don't know if Mr. Depp was high.
Yep. Agreed.
And again, now if that's, again, now that could affect memory, but I'm not refuting that. I'm not refuting that at all. He could have been high, he could have been drunk, he could have been using cocaine, and that would absolutely affect his memory. Like what I said. Yes, you're right.
So ultimately, you have no idea what state Mr. Depp was in at the time he took the exam that you're relying on.
Right.
Short of what you just said about drugs and alcohol, okay, there shouldn't be a reason why a 58-year-old also with strokes and other neurocognitive.
Short of that,
Short
in
of that,
someone with an
there should
admitted
be a
abuse
really good
problem.
reason why someone at that age shouldn't come up with at least one. But an answer,
But wait a minute, you started that question with short of drugs and alcohol. 5 minutes talking about drugs and alcohol. Am I right?
I'm agreeing. I thought I agreed with you. I think I agreed. I said that drugs and alcohol
But you're not
absolutely
agreeing with
affect
him,
cognition.
though.
I'm not sure. I agree, but I'm not sure if that's a problem. I agree with you on that.
All right. So you don't know one way or the other how he scored on the exam. You don't know whether he was at the time on drugs and alcohol, but you're going to rely on it in your testimony to say that he's cognitively impaired.
Yes,
Which is
that's
what we do in
exactly
clinical
what he's
medicine,
going
sir.
to do.
Okay. You rely on a test that you don't know when it was administered. You don't know the
Ellen is
score of
triggered.
the test, and you don't know the state of the person being tested, but you're going to rely on it anyway.
Again, if we had to know every test, when people get the mini mental state exam, we have no idea clinically if they are
So
high.
it's a garbage
wasted,
exam.
stoned,
Does he think he's the
stroke. We have
house of the
no
psychiatric
idea.
world?
So if you're going to say that, that means
I
everybody
think
needs
so.
a drug test
Okay.
before they do a mini mental state.
Um,
and that's not the standard of
Alex
care.
needs socks.
And I think
There
you know.
are some in the backpack, in his backpack.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from this. Sure.
Let's talk a little
He has
bit
more.
about
You have more
this word you
knives
kept
in the
using,
sheath.
correlation. You know the word, right?
Yes.
I would say these are more like
Correlation and
ninja
causation.
stars
Hollywood gun that
there,
never runs
like,
out of
these
bullets.
are shurikens.
Correlation. No, they're not saying.
How do they differ?
Ben Shu is
Correlation is
just lobbing
consistent with
shurikens
causation,
at
Mr.
this
Rickler.
guy.
Can you say that again? You were so fast I didn't hear it.
Oh, sorry about that. Correlation is a risk for something happening. Causation is a direct link.
Right. So just because something's correlated doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Correlation does not equal
Right.
causation.
Lung cancer, for instance. Smoking is very highly correlated with lung cancer, right?
Yeah, and there's certainly a link
Right.
to lung cancer and smoking.
Right. But not all smokers get lung cancer.
Not all smokers do. No one, like I said, no one fits the curve perfect.
And
Right.
not all lung cancer patients are
You
smokers.
made repeated testimony and to all of us do this, all of us do that.
Mhm.
Your suggestion,
Get 'em.
to all of us, is you're just looking at as a sample and not at any particular individual, correct?
What I'm looking at is that I'm not talking about an individual, how they can or cannot be resistant. What I'm saying is invariably, when you use substances, this is going to happen. Now, is there a 0.05% chance that someone who does? Absolutely there is. But is that medical degree of certainty? Absolutely not.
A 0.05% chance of what, sir?
Eventually developing symptoms. If you're using excessively, eventually you're going to develop symptoms.
But risk factors tell us nothing about any one particular individual, do they, sir?
No, again, risk factors tell us nothing except that they have it, they're at a higher likelihood of developing it. That's
Right.
what tells me.
But you did
If they
a whole
have it,
litany
they're
of
likely to
risk
develop it.
factors relative to IPV.
Yes.
Right. And none of those risk factors tell us anything specifically about an individual.
No.
Other than they're at higher risk. Right.
Right. So someone could have every single risk factor for IPV and never commit IPV, right?
It would be, again, if you're going to say a medical degree of probability, the answer is they will. But if you're saying uniformly, the answer is no.
Right. IPV
The
can
only
occur
answer is
without
no.
substance abuse.
Oh, sure.
Someone can abuse substances without ever perpetrating IPV.
Again, absolutely. But again, you are saying different than what I said.
Not saying anything.
I
No,
did not
he's
say
not.
abusing substance. I said substance use disorder. Those are two different things, because there are surely people who use substances that do not engage in any violence, do not become psychotic.
There we go.
So
And that's
absolutely.
equally true of people who have substance abuse disorder. There are certainly people who have substance abuse disorder who don't commit IPV, correct?
They are saying people who have substance use disorders, the majority of them, over 50% do. So over 50% do. So that's medical.
The
Now we're at
answer
over
is
50%.
So there's 49%.
Yes. As you said, not everyone who smokes gets lung cancer.
so. There are significant numbers of people. You said it was over 50. So you'd say 40% of the people who have substance abuse disorder don't commit IPV.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that do not have IPV risk factors, right? So we're talking about people
Wait a
who
minute.
don't.
Isn't substance abuse disorder and IPV risk factor?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
These are other people that don't have other risk factors, right?
Other
Yep.
risk factors.
God, somebody
But again,
throw in the
You're
white
talking
towel.
about
This
people
is
in general. You don't know anything about any particular
This is
individual as to
brutal.
whether anybody's going to commit IPV.
If statistics follow through, all we can say
the
is
question.
more than 50%, 70% will. If you combine more risk factors you
Hello,
have,
back.
the more likely you're going to develop the illness. If you smoke cigarettes once, that might not correlate to lung cancer. If you smoke it chronically, that might. So that's
but
all I'm
we're
saying.
talking about individuals here. You either have lung cancer or you don't, right?
Mhm.
If you're smoking.
Right.
No.
You either commit IPV or you didn't.
don't.
I mean, yeah, you either did or you didn't, yes.
Right. So you took some issue with me because I was asking about substance abuse generally, and you wanted me to talk about the disorder. I asked you earlier about narcissistic personality disorder,
Mhm.
and you haven't made that diagnosis. You've just talked about the traits, right?
Yes.
And somebody can have these narcissistic personality traits and substance abuse disorder and never commit IPV, right?
So along that line,
Right.
about 80 to 90% of people who commit IPV have a personality disorder.
What are you
So the
basing
answer
that
is
on?
less than about 10% obviously do not.
What study is that from?
There are more close links with IPV for borderline personality disorder than narcissistic personality disorder. Correct, sir?
I'm not going to agree with that.
No?
I'm not saying there are more links. I would say to you, there are absolute. If you're asking me there are links, the answer is absolute. If you're saying to me more, I can show studies
yeah.
and say yes, so studies say that has not been absolutely definitively correlated. No,
No.
absolutely not.
Uh-oh. What's he pulling up?
Dead air.
I hear paper.
RX Joe says, when did Lurch go to med school?
MDMA.
Let's talk MDMA.
What is it?
Ecstasy.
No.
And what's the normal dosage of
Scientific
ecstasy
answer.
for people who use ecstasy?
MDMA is not
Again, I
ecstasy.
couldn't tell you the quote unquote normal dose because honestly speaking, no one knows what they're getting when they're using it, right? It's not regulated. So
The effects of ecstasy enhance sense of well-being.
at low doses, the answer is yes. I'm going to
Wait, he doesn't know what a senior
using
dose
a
is. How does he know what a low dose is?
tolerance, you develop the sympathomimetic effects, which are not so enhanced well-being.
Increased extroversion. That's
Again, at low dose, you are 100% right. At low amounts, you are 100% right. It is an antagogen. We feel closer to people. That's what people who use it say. They feel close to people, warm to people, 100%. But with continual use and higher doses, it could be fatal. Right. So that's not well-being. I don't know if I call that well-being.
So continued use at higher doses, MDMA can be fatal, correct?
Correct.
What if you took 8 to 10 tablets of MDMA?
What if you took eight? Again, you don't know what it's very hard to say that. You don't know what it's what's the word I'm looking for? Contaminated with.
It's not
Okay.
contaminated. It's
Hey, let me
fucking
just take 8 to 10
MDMA is
pure
the
ecstasy
pure
and see what
stuff.
happens. That's not gonna happen.
Ecstasy is
So
the
what I
stuff
would
that's
say to
cut
you,
with,
again,
oh my
because
god.
substances of abuse are unpredictable, they are not regulated. No one knows what.
Yeah.
No one has any
No,
idea.
it was like
whether
a
it's going to
some
cause
fucking
idea.
gobstopper.
Pathogen
Of-
effect
of-
at very low doses. Or is it
Yeah.
going to cause the sympathomimetic?
I'm like, what are you supposed to do?
increase,
Lick it? Like seriously, like
It's like a stimulant, like cocaine, something we talk about like that. No
this
one
is-
knows what's going to happen.
you
It's not
cannot.
regulated.
Oh my
And
god.
no one knows if you're using with other substances either, like other stimulants,
Or if you mix it with alcohol?
or if you mix it with alcohol. No
But-
one knows if it's going to be potentially worse.
Right. But if this is a potentially lethal combination, 8 to 10 MDMA
This- okay,
tablets and
This is
alcohol.
this is a potentially toxic combination.
Right.
Can it kill you? Yeah, I mean, it is a potentially toxic combination. That's true.
Ever heard of someone cutting off their own finger on MDMA?
Have I ever heard of it?
Yeah.
No, I can only give you one
Hadn't-
example.
Hadn't seen that one before.
I
Okay.
have-
So the Seroquel,
He was going to try and say Johnny Depp.
that one puts you to sleep, right?
If you want to phrase a barbiturate putting you to sleep, then the answer is yes.
Yeah, you heard Mr. Depp talking about sometimes being on the nod, right?
And again, I think I explained Seroquel very well.
I think I did.
Good. I'm going to ask him a few more questions.
Oh, okay.
All right. You kept making references to street value. Why were you doing that?
Because that's why people with substance use disorder use quetiapine and Seroquel. That's why people who use quetiapine or Seroquel can it sells on the street because it's so barbiturate-like in effect.
Right, but you said that Mr. Depp had a prescription.
There are many substance use disorder patients who have prescriptions
Can't
for
diagnose him with
Adderall
substance use
and
disorder.
quetiapine from their doctor, and that doesn't mean they're not getting high out of it. That doesn't take much. Doctors like to believe what patients have to say. They're not going to go in there being expert witness testimony. All I'm telling you is that in people who have substance use disorder, it is not uncommon. And the thought was initially that because quetiapine was not addicting, that it's safe to give in people with substance use disorders, when in fact, we absolutely know it has street value. Absolutely know that for a fact.
Right, but my point about this is you made a bunch of testimony about street value, but you knew at the time you made the testimony that Mr. Depp, in fact, had a prescription.
Yeah.
He also had a prescription for oxycodone and roxicodone. Does that count? Because that's also
You're answering the question, bro.
just because you have a prescription
Just
doesn't mean
because-
that
okay,
Mr. Depp
doesn't.
would agree with you it wasn't a
So
good thing.
what? He
Just
had a
because-
prescription for legal
Doesn't mean you
heroin.
can't
What
use
does
it.
that mean?
No, I'm not suggesting you're abusing it. I'm just wondering why your testimony was in any way tied to street value when every single drug you referenced, Mr. Depp had legally.
Again, you can have prescription substance abuse, and we know that, correct?
Okay, so
What does
why
that
are
do
you?
to street value?
We can
Yeah.
have prescription substance use disorders, and that's not uncommon if you look at the opiate epidemic that we're living in right now. We can have that. That's not an uncommon thing.
What's it have to do with this
Unfortunate,
case?
but uncommon.
Nothing.
So Seroquel, I think you described as a sleeping agent when used off label.
When I saw what?
Sleeping agent, Seroquel, when used off label.
When used off label, it's used. It can be used sleeping aid. Yes.
So
That's why I was
Mr.
given it.
Depp's use of Seroquel could account for some of the photos we saw in this trial.
Oh no,
Or
I'm
he's asleep in a
smoking
chair.
pot.
Again,
I have a substance
what I would say to you
use
is that
disorder.
if you have a substance use disorder, you are using it to be knocked out. Yes, I agree. But I'm not sure at the end of the day if she'd have vomitus over you either, because I've never seen Cerebral do that. So when he was passed out in the chair, he also had vomitus over him. I've never seen Cerebral do that ever.
What
He didn't have vomit on him.
No,
when he was passed
there's
out
Nobody
there.
saw vomit. There's no vomit.
No.
drugs you testified
Oh,
about?
It was ice cream.
That one's
Yeah.
also
I didn't know ice
prescribed,
cream
right?
looked like vomit.
Yes, it is.
She was writing a note that says it was
Yep.
ice cream.
What's it used for? And what's its indication or what's its
yeah,
use
what's its indication?
And
its
he's laughing
indication
about
is
it.
for seizures. It may have one pain indication. Again, I'm not a neurologist, so I can't tell you
It has
exactly if it
many
does.
pain
but it's
indications.
chronically used off label for pain. It's used off label for anxiety.
Right. And what's its effect? That's another one that'll put you to sleep, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, sure, 100%. Right.
Knocks you the fuck
Sure.
out.
And you made reference to a picture
Here we go.
Yeah.
Choose no.
especially around that picture that Mr. Depp fell asleep with ice cream in his hand. That's not vomitous, right?
I was told it was vomitous.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
My
Uh-oh.
God.
You
Who
were
told you that?
told.
You talked about
You
the
were
fact that
told.
Mr. Depp indicates that from time to time he uses an earpiece.
Ah, damn it.
I was, yeah,
You were
I mean,
told.
I read that, yeah.
Follow
Why
up.
would you let that go?
Did you read the testimony of Mr. Wyatt, who told you what was being pumped into that earpiece?
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right, I mean, I think it was lines, right?
No.
No, it was music.
Music.
It was music, not his line?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, shit.
if Mr. Depp was listening to music rather than being
not
fed
even
his
lines.
lines,
But that
So it's
changed
not-
your
no, it's not-
analogy.
your
It's
opinion
the
as to his cognitive
Premises are correct and the premises are not correct.
He was never fed his lines through the earpiece, which I know he was.
How do you know
Read.
he was?
How do you know?
That may have been that example. Mr. White may have said that it was music. I guess the question is, were you having the
How do
music
you know he was fed
He's
his lines
smiling.
through that
during the
earpiece? Were
during
you
actual
doing it?
talking of your lines? Is that what you're saying to me?
well, if you can do two things at once, that's a pretty high cognitive function.
Agreed.
It's a very good point, actually. Divided attention is something humans have a lot of trouble in. So, for instance, we have trouble driving and putting on the, using our cell phones and direct. So,
We
divided
do?
attention, humans actually are not very good at.
Maybe
I'll
for
put
you.
that out there.
But Mr.
In general, not just Mr.
That's
Depp.
not the
but
fucking
Mr.
question.
Depp is pretty good at acting. You acknowledge that early on,
Absolutely. Well, better than me, so I know that.
because you don't act. In fact, you don't know about acting.
You're right.
No
Doesn't even know actors rehearse.
You don't know how prevalent the use of earpieces are in acting.
Mhm.
Again, I know nothing about acting.
Oh, my God.
which means you would know nothing about why
Irrespective of
he
the
has
fact
an
you know
earpiece.
nothing about acting, you've testified that Mr. Depp's
Elaine is going to walk up and shoot this guy in the back of the head.
somehow a cognitive deficit.
So if I was giving a lecture and I was fed my
Your Honor,
lines.
can my
I would
entire
think that the
testimony
But he's
please be
not
stricken?
being
Wrong.
fed his
And maybe I'm wrong.
lines.
Like I said, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe Hollywood stars get
Maybe you're wrong in
lines
your
fed to them
professional
through
opinion.
earpieces all the
He's
time. and
not
I don't know.
Being
That
fed
could be said. It
lines.
sounded to me to be unusual if you're doing a movie and you don't know the lines. But like you said, I'm just judging it on what I do with lectures, and that would never happen.
If you gave lectures,
So you
wouldn't
would
use
never
an
have a
earpiece.
cue
You're
card
not going to tell
if
anybody.
you were
how to
giving
I've never seen a
lectures.
pirate with an earpiece before, so
You would never have.
I said, if you
Um,
give lectures, you would use an earpiece, but you're not telling anybody how to act.
Right, I would not use an earpiece during lectures.
Right.
But I don't know what the standard for care of standard is Hollywood is for that. I have no idea.
sir, do you know Jack?
Your use, you said something about the use of an earpiece.
No, I don't know
shit.
Jack.
Maybe you were wrong. You're comfortable with the fact that you may have made a mistake there?
No, because I think in the basis of what I've read about it, I'm comfortable that I don't believe that.
Hug the rest of this Gatorade.
Given them earpieces.
Glug, 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 glug.
Yeah,
But-
and
but-
there's not one whit of evidence that this ever happened here.
This
That's
is
what I said. I just said I find it hard to
brutal.
believe. I didn't say it. I said I find it hard to believe. That's all I said.
Oh, yeah,
In the
but
absence of
what I
evidence.
found hard to believe, sir, was that every line of the script was pumped through an earpiece. Where did you ever get the idea that occurred?
That's what I have been. That's what I read and the court review, the court evidence. That's where I got it from.
It's not
And,
in
um,
the evidence.
It's not in evidence. Yeah.
It's not evidence.
You know whether Marlon Brando used an earpiece?
Whether isn't he dead?
Does it
So the
matter?
answer is no. He does not use one now.
He said dead.
I used the past tense. Sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I know
Wow,
nothing. I will concede to you. I know
smart
nothing about
ass
acting.
motherfucker.
I will concede to you 100%.
Oh.
If that is the standard and people are done that's acting, then I apologize and that was wrong on my part. If that's the standard, I'm wrong. I
What
don't
do you
know.
mean, Picard?
He's got his head
Okay.
down and his elbow on the table. and his
Let's
hand
go with
over
that.
his eye.
No further.
Amber Heard's about to throw a vodka bottle at this guy.
A bit. You may want to. All right, let's go ahead and break for lunch then,
Oh
ladies.
my-
Oh,
Again, do not share
Jesus,
God.
that was a murdering.
your testimony with anybody, okay?
And
He's
they're
gonna
not done.
commit. He's
And
gonna
he's
off
not
himself in the
done?
parking lot.
I mean, it was a
This is
snuff
bad.
They're
film.
not done?
Chug,
Holy
chug, 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 chug,
He's
chug.
There we
not
go.
done?
Speaking of
Oh,
vodka,
Lord. Chug, 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 chug. Glug, glug, glug,
Interested
glug.
to hear what Joe says about how they were taking this.
I
He's right.
mean,
I'm waiting to see a little red laser sight dot on his, on his back.
Is that fine?
Wow, that was horrible. So, yeah, that was. I'm glad I didn't miss any of that. This is. Wow. This is crazy. Oh my God. That was just bad. And here's the other thing. Amber's side now has, as of now, something like 6 hours left after this morning's testimony, because all of these are Amber's witnesses. So, and Johnny's team has got, like, because they've done cross now, I think they've got something like 17 hours left or 16 hours left. So they are screwed. Amber's team is screwed. That was brutal, says Evil One. It was. It really, really was. It's pretty crazy. So speaking of crazy, and Costin asked about if we were dry at the cabin. We ended up staying home because it was like we had a huge storm all across the province, and it was really bad here. And our neighbor's kid actually was up near where our cottage is, and he like said to his mom that there was tornado type weather up there. So we were like, yeah, we're just gonna stay home. And it's a good thing that we did, because a whole bunch of trees fell in our neighborhood, like across the sidewalks and everything. I think there's still a tree blocking the sidewalk up our street. But Pincalo and a bunch of the neighbors basically got together and cut the tree that was nearest to our place that was across the sidewalk. It was a big maple tree, and they were, just trying to finish cutting it down because the wind blew it down. And then on the other side of the street, the wind blew some trees down. One of them took out a street light. And then the funniest part, and we posted this on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, you probably saw it. But I got a new blender that day earlier, and I wanted to use it. So I got all my smoothie ingredients together, and I was just about to I pushed the power button, and all the power went off in the entire neighborhood at the exact time that I pushed the button. It was really funny. But yeah, the whole neighborhood lost power. My let's see, up in Ottawa, power was lost. Like it was a big storm, and it was widespread. So we're gonna take a look at this story here, because Hydro Ottawa is saying that the damage from the storm on Saturday, because that's when it happened, has actually caused more damage than the ice storm did. It says Hydro Ottawa says current outages significantly worse than ice storm or tornadoes. Now, I don't know if any of you guys remember back in '98, there was a really bad ice storm. And I think that's the ice storm they're referencing. Let's see. Hydro Ottawa says damage from Saturday's storm is simply beyond comprehension as it brings in reinforcements to help with repairs. More than 200,000 people in the region are still without power, and Hydro Ottawa says that no area in the city is unaffected. Yeah, my mom was up in Ottawa for a martial arts tournament with my sister. She said the tournament didn't lose power, but the friend that they were staying with, his entire area lost power for about 12 hours. Let's see. This event is significantly worse than both the ice storm of 1998 and the tornadoes of 2018. So yeah, they are referencing the 1998 ice storm, and some people actually lost power for weeks in that storm. My uncle was one of them. He had luckily a wood stove that he was able to keep stocked with wood and keep the house warm that way and cook on. But not everybody was lucky to have a wood stove like that. I remember, says Elwin, yeah. We were powerless for about an hour and a half. wind caused and it has still causing issues where I'm at. Yeah, that's what caused it here too. It was a huge downburst. And the crazy thing is that when the trees fell, like the windows were open and everything. And I did not hear any trees, like any cracking or splintering of wood at all. And then Pincolo, like he was out doing an errand and he came back and he's like, holy shit, there are trees down all over our street. And I'm like, I didn't hear a single one fall. It was kind of crazy. This level of damage to our distribution system is simply beyond comprehension, said Hydro Ottawa in a letter sent to the Mirror on Sunday. This is the map of the outages. So this is what the map looks like. Joseph Muglia, the director of system operations and grid automation for Hydro Ottawa, told CBC's Ottawa Morning contractors are being or en route on Tuesday, and contractors from Toronto, Kingston, and New Brunswick are on the way. So this is a big, yeah. Hydro Ottawa's it brought me back up to the top of the story again. It's a jerk. But yeah, that's what happened. That's part of what's going on in Ottawa. It missed Kingston. I asked my friend, but that's because Lake Ontario is right there. So it usually in Kingston gets stupidly humid, but it doesn't really storm that often. Like it's got to be a lake-borne storm basically to get a storm going in Kingston. Okay. Here is our last story. We'll get this shared. And of course, it's a science story because I can't resist those. Okay. Come on. There we go. All right. Share screen. This is really cool. I found this story and I was like, I have to share this. Let's see here. Where are we? So this is a really interesting story about the Hubble telescope. Hubble data suggests something weird is going on in the universe. Astronomers tried to pinpoint the Hubble constant, but it leads to confusion. So it looks like we may have found the Hubble constant here, which is cool. Hubble data, I remember that. Hubble reaches a new milestone in the mystery of the universe's expansion rate. NASA's decades worth of data from the Hubble Space Telescope has produced a new, more accurate measurement of the expansion rate of the universe. The new examination of data from the 32-year-old Hubble Space Telescope attempts to identify how quickly the universe expands and how much the expansion is accelerating through a number called the Hubble constant, named after its two discoverers, Edwin P. Hubble and Georges Lemaitre. who discovered it in 1929. Yep. Definitely did. Let's see here. The number is a notoriously tough one to pin down because different observatories looking at different areas of the universe have produced different results. Now, a new study of Hubble's results may have just produced the new the answer. According to a press release by NASA, published Thursday, you are getting the most precise measurement of the expansion rate of the universe from the gold standard of telescopes and cosmic mile markers, said the Nobel laureate Adam Rees of the Space Telescope of Science Institute and the Johns Hopkins Observatory of Baltimore, Maryland. Woo! Words. I can speak them. Rees leads a scientific collaboration investigating the universe's expansion rate called SHOES, which stands for supernova H. Supernova H0, for the equation of state of dark energy. This is what the Hubble Space Telescope was built to do, using the best techniques we know to do it. This will be most likely will be Hubble's magnum opus. Because it would take another 30 years of Hubble's life to even double the sample size, he said. Yeah, this is really hard to do. And Hubble was the telescope that managed to take the first picture of the universe 380,000 years after the Big Bang. That picture was taken with Hubble. So yeah, that is exactly what Hubble was built to do. It was built to learn the Hubble constant and the expansion rate. Rees is leading the biggest and likely last major update on the Hubble constant, and the results more than doubling new results more than doubling the prior samples of distance markers. So they're taking into account more than 1,800 Hubble orbits. The Hubble constant is a very special number. It can be used to thread a needle from the past to the present. For our understanding of the universe. Yeah. This took a phenomenal amount of detailed work, said Dr. Licia Verde, a cosmologist at the University of Barcelona. The team analyzed 42 of the supernova milepost markers with Hubble that are seen exploding at a rate of about 1 per year. So we have a good example of all the supernovae explored by Hubble in the last 40 years. The SHOES team produced the Hubble constant estimate of 73. This turned out to be higher than previous research that combined the standard cosmological model of the universe and measurement by the European Space Agency. The value for the constant of 67.5 plus or minus 0.5 kilometers per second per megaparsec. Who is right? It doesn't matter so much. It turns out it doesn't matter so much, apparently. This confusion is exciting for astronomers like Rees. Actually, I don't care what the expansion value is specifically, but I like to use it to learn about the universe, Reese concluded. Yeah. That's, I think, the most important part is to be learning about the universe, to learn how it expanded, why it expanded, where are our theories correct about the Big Bang? Is the expansion rate constant throughout the universe, or is it different in different parts because of the presence of dark energy and dark matter? Like all of this stuff we need to learn about. And I think Hubble, even though it's now about almost 40 years old, it can still play a very important part in that discovery, I think. So this is very cool. I thought I really wanted to share that with you guys. Oh my goodness. Well, guys, I need to end this so I can go to the washroom. But I'd like to thank you guys all for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed the kind of mishmash of a show today. I will be on Twitch tomorrow night practicing for my Con of the Hill, and then I'm going to record my Con of the Hill match. And then I will be back on Wednesday with Dr. Functional. That's it, Dr. Functional. I will be back on Wednesday with Dr. Functional. And so I hope you guys have a good Monday. Happy long weekend to my Canadian and British friends, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.